Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to jump into some really fascinating AI stuff today?
Always ready to talk AI.
Awesome. Well, we got this new player on the scene called Deepseek. It's been making waves globally, and we're going to kind of explore how it might impact things, especially for a country like Switzerland that's already like a major player in the AI world.
Yeah, Deepseek, it's really causing a stir. And what's really grabbing everyone's attention is the fact that their latest version, Deepseek V3, it's actually outperforming some of the giants in the field.
Really, like, who are we talking about here?
We're talking big names like Llama and even GPT-4.
Oh, wow.
And this isn't just, in some niche area of AI. We're talking benchmarks in coding and math.
Okay, wait, hold on. Coding and math benchmarks. I mean, it's one thing to hear about AI that can write poems or translate languages, but to hear that it's crushing it in coding and math, that sounds like a whole other level.
Yeah, you're right to pick up on that. Those benchmarks are really significant. And the secret sauce seems to be the massive data set that DeepSeek was trained on.
Okay, like how massive are we talking?
We're talking a whopping 15 trillion tokens.
Wow. I don't even know what that means. Like, can you put that in perspective?
Imagine the entire Library of Congress multiplied by 1,000.
That's insane.
Yeah, and on top of that, just that sheer volume, they really focused on coding and math data during the training process.
So it's like giving an athlete like the perfect training regimen to become a world champion, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so more data, more specialized data. It's starting to make sense. But I got to ask, why is everyone making such a big deal about DeepSeek being open source? It sounds kind of like a techie thing, you know?
That's where it gets really interesting, even for the non-tech folks out there.
Hmm.
Open source means that the code behind DeepSeek is publicly available. So anyone from researchers at universities to developers at startups, they can access it, tinker with it, even use it to build their own applications.
So it's like releasing the recipe for some gourmet dish and then just letting everyone experiment with their own variations.
Ah,
I can see how that would just lead to this explosion of new AI-powered tools and applications.
exactly. And this open source approach, it could be particularly significant for a country like Switzerland. I mean, you already have these world-renowned institutions like ETH Zurich and EPFL. They're doing groundbreaking AI research.
Right.
Imagine giving those brilliant minds access to a model as powerful as DeepSeek. It could really accelerate their work in ways we can't even imagine right now.
Absolutely. But Switzerland isn't just about research labs,
Mm.
right? They've got major companies like UBS in finance and Nestle in food production that are exploring how to use AI. What could DeepSeek mean for them?
That's a key question. DeepSeek could be a game changer, especially for businesses that are eager to kind of leverage the power of AI language models. But, maybe they lack the resources to build their own from scratch.
Right.
Think about it. UBS could use it to analyze financial data, or Nestle could use it to personalize customer interactions. The possibilities are vast.
Okay, I'm seeing the potential here, but let's get real for a second.
Yeah.
What about the downsides? Everyone's worried about AI taking jobs, and DeepSeek sounds like it could automate some pretty complex tasks. What's the impact going to be like on the Swiss job market?
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room with any powerful AI, right? Will DeepSeek replace certain roles in Switzerland? It's tough to say for sure, but some jobs are definitely more vulnerable than others.
Which was we talking about?
Repetitive tasks, data analysis, even some aspects of coding itself could see some major shifts.
So maybe it's less about jobs disappearing and more about jobs changing. If Swiss companies can harness DeepSeek effectively,
Hmm.
could it actually create new opportunities?
Yeah.
Maybe even whole new industries that we haven't even thought of yet?
That's the optimistic perspective, and it's not unfounded. Think about it, just like the internet revolution didn't eliminate jobs altogether, but it transformed the way we work, AI. Like, DeepSeek could reshape the Swiss landscape, demanding new skills and creating unforeseen roles.
So this all kind of leads to this big question. How is the Swiss government approaching all of this? Are they, welcoming this wave of AI innovation, or are they hitting the brakes with a bunch of regulations?
Well, it's kind of a bit of both. Switzerland has a reputation for being very cautious and deliberate, especially when it comes to new technologies. They're definitely aware of the potential benefits of AI, but they're also aware of the concerns, job displacement, data privacy, and even the potential for misuse.
Of course.
So they're encouraging innovation, but they're also keeping a very close eye on things and most likely exploring ways to create a regulatory framework that encourages responsible AI development.
It's a balancing act for sure. But before we go too deep into the policy side of things, let's shift gears for a second and think about the bigger picture here. DeepSeek's arrival raises some fundamental questions about Switzerland's approach to AI innovation.
I think you're getting at a crucial debate here. Should Switzerland focus primarily on adapting and leveraging DeepSeek's power, or should they prioritize building their own independent AI ecosystem?
Societal. It's like choosing between taking a shortcut or building your own path. Each option comes with its own set of advantages and risks.
Right, and that's precisely what we'll be exploring next. We'll dive into the pros and cons of each approach and what it all means for Switzerland's future in the AI landscape.
I'm excited to dive into that more after the break.
So we were just talking about this big decision facing Switzerland, right? Should they go all in on DeepSeek or should they kind of chart their own AI course? It's a pretty huge decision with a lot of implications.
Absolutely. And it's not just about tech. It's about Switzerland shaping its future in this world that's, being driven more and more by AI every day. So let's say Switzerland just says, you know what, we're going all in on DeepSeek. We're embracing it wholeheartedly. What does that world look like?
I think in that scenario, you'd probably see Swiss efficiency and that Swiss pragmatism at its best. They'd be really quick to integrate DeepSeek into all their existing systems, everything from finance to manufacturing. I mean, imagine Swiss banks using it to personalize financial advice or pharmaceutical companies using it to speed up drug discovery. It could really give their already strong industries a massive boost.
Yeah, it's tempting, right? It's like being handed the keys to a supercar and just saying, all right, let's see what this thing can do. But isn't there a risk there, becoming too reliant on technology that someone else developed? What happens if DeepSeek suddenly changes its terms of use down the line, or a new, even more powerful model comes out?
You've hit on a really key concern there with relying so heavily on external tech. You're kind of putting your fate in someone else's hands. And in the world of AI, things move so fast. Today's cutting edge is tomorrow's old news.
All right, so that brings us to the other side, building a Swiss-made AI ecosystem. It sounds ambitious, maybe even a little audacious, but what would be the advantages of going down that path?
Control and self-reliance, those are the big ones. If Switzerland builds its own AI, then they get to make the rules, they own the technology, and they can shape how it develops. That could be super crucial for protecting Swiss values and making sure that the technology aligns with their specific needs and priorities.
Yeah, there's also a certain appeal to the idea of Switzerland,
Yeah.
a country known for its precision and innovation, creating its own unique type of AI. It could be a source of national pride and maybe even attract, top AI talent and investment from all over the world.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the potential economic benefits. Building a homegrown AI industry could create tons of high-paying jobs, lead to new startups, and really position Switzerland as a global leader in AI, not just a consumer of someone else's technology.
All right, sounds pretty enticing, but let's be realistic here. Building something like that from scratch is a massive undertaking. Can Switzerland, a relatively small country, really compete with, the companies that build DeepSeek or even giants like Google and Microsoft in this AI race?
It's a valid concern, but I don't think we should underestimate Switzerland's potential. They already have those world-class research institutions like we talked about before, ETH Zurich and EPFL, and they attract some of the brightest minds in AI. They also have a strong tradition of collaboration between the academic world and the industry world.
Plus, let's not forget their reputation for quality and precision. I mean, in the world of AI, where things like trustworthiness and reliability are so important, those are really invaluable assets.
You're absolutely right. And if we think about this in the bigger picture, Switzerland's neutrality could actually be a huge advantage here. They could position themselves as this trusted hub for international AI collaboration, attracting researchers and companies who might be a little wary of AI that's developed in countries with less transparent practices.
So we've kind of laid out the two extremes, fully embrace DeepSeek or go it alone. But is there a middle ground here? Could Switzerland maybe find a balance between, taking advantage of DeepSeek's power, but also, fostering its own AI innovation at the same time?
I think that's where the sweet spot might be. It's what we could call a build and borrow approach. They could be strategic about it, adopt DeepSeek for certain applications where it makes sense, but at the same time, invest in research and development to cultivate their own AI expertise.
It's kind of like having your cake and eating it too, right? You get the best of both worlds. You benefit from DeepSeek's advancements right away, but you're also ensuring that you have long-term independence and control over your AI future.
Exactly. And this hybrid approach could even lead to some really cool synergies. Imagine Swiss researchers using DeepSeek as like a starting point, building on top of it, adapting it to Swiss needs, and even contributing back to its open source development.
Now you're talking Switzerland could become a major player in shaping how DeepSeek evolves, steering it towards those ethical and responsible applications that are aligned with their values.
It's a pretty compelling vision, and it wouldn't be the first time Switzerland has kind of punched above its weight on the world stage.
All right, so we've talked about the big choices Switzerland's facing. Let's bring this back down to earth for a second. If you were a Swiss entrepreneur right now with DeepSeek suddenly at your disposal,
Hmm.
what would you do? Would you embrace it, ignore it, or try to find that middle ground?
Honestly, it's a tough call. I think it would depend on a bunch of factors. My industry, the specific problem I'm trying to solve, my company's resources, and even my own risk tolerance.
Hmm.
DeepSeek is a powerful tool, no doubt about it. But like any tool, it's not a magic solution for every problem.
So you'd have to weigh the potential benefits against the risks. DeepSeek's power and the fact that it's so accessible are definitely alluring. But you can't ignore those long-term implications of relying on technology that you don't control.
Right, and that's why I think a healthy dose of skepticism is important. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype when a new technology comes out, but you have to take a step back and ask those tough questions.
Questions like, does DeepSeek really align with my company's values and long-term goals? What are the data privacy implications? How is this going to impact my workforce? These aren't just technical questions, they're ethical and societal questions too.
You're absolutely right. And these are questions that every individual, every company, every nation needs to be thinking about as AI just becomes more integrated into our lives.
Hmm.
How do we harness the power of all these data-driven technologies, but also safeguard our fundamental rights and freedoms?
It's a challenge that needs some really thoughtful solutions. But let's not forget, AI isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly. It all comes down to how we choose to develop, deploy, and regulate these technologies.
And that brings us right back to those choices facing Switzerland. DeepSeek has really given them a unique opportunity to define their role in the AI landscape.
They could embrace this powerful technology and adapt it to their needs. Or they could try to build their own AI ecosystem to stay independent. Or maybe they find that middle ground and leverage DeepSeek's strengths while also building up their own expertise.
It's a choice with big consequences, not just for Switzerland's economy, but for their society, their values, and their place in the world.
And like we've been talking about, there's no simple answer, no one-size-fits-all solution. The path they choose will depend on a bunch of different factors. Their economy, ethical concerns, their goals as a nation, and even their culture.
It's definitely a fascinating moment for Switzerland, and it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Their story is still being written.
For sure. As AI keeps evolving at this crazy pace, the choices they make right now will definitely shape their future and maybe even the world's future.
It's a reminder that we're all part of this conversation. AI isn't sci-fi anymore. It's a reality that's shaping our lives today, and it will continue to shape our future.
And it's a future we all have to be part of creating. So as you go about your day, think about those questions we've been talking about today. What do you think about all these powerful new AI systems like DeepSeek? What are the opportunities? What worries you?
They're important questions to think about, talk about, and debate because at the end of the day, the future of AI isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we all create together.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot today, from how DeepSeek actually works to the big decisions it's forcing Switzerland to make. But there's another really important side to this story we need to talk about. What does all of this mean for everyday people in Switzerland?
Okay.
How will DeepSeek and AI in general affect their lives, their jobs, and their future?
That's the big question, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. We're going to explore how DeepSeek could impact Swiss society, looking at both the concerns and the exciting possibilities it holds for the people of Switzerland.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been exploring DeepSeek and its potential impact on Switzerland's AI landscape. But let's shift our focus now to the human side of this story, the everyday Swiss citizen. How might all of this affect their lives?
That's the key question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the tech, but we can't forget that AI impacts real people.
And when we talk AI, there's one topic that always seems to trigger anxiety: jobs. Will DeepSeek, with its ability to automate things, lead to a lot of job losses in Switzerland?
It's a valid concern, and it's one we have to take seriously. Anytime you have tech that can do what humans used to do, there's that natural fear of being replaced.
But it's not always a simple case of robots taking over. I remember reading somewhere that when ATMs were introduced, it actually led to more bank teller jobs. Could we see something similar with AI?
That's a great point. It shows that tech disruption isn't always about direct replacement. It's often about transformation. Some tasks might get automated, but then you have new roles popping up that require new skills.
So maybe instead of asking, will AI steal our jobs, we should be asking, how will AI change how we work? If Swiss companies can adapt and use DeepSeek, well, Could it actually create new industries, new job opportunities, even a more competitive Swiss economy?
That's the optimistic view, and there's evidence to support it. Think about all the jobs that didn't exist before the internet: web developers, social media managers, e-commerce specialists. The list goes on and on. AI has that same power to reshape things and create new paths for work.
But new jobs often mean needing new skills. What does that mean for the Swiss workforce? Will people need to retrain, learn new skills, maybe even completely rethink their careers to stay relevant in this AI-powered world?
I think it's pretty much unavoidable. Lifelong learning is becoming essential. Switzerland's education system, which is already excellent, is going to have to adapt to help people get the skills they'll need to succeed in an economy driven by AI. This might mean more focus on things like data science, coding, critical thinking, and problem solving, even for people who aren't going into tech fields.
It's a challenge, but it's also a chance for Switzerland to be a leader in AI education and workforce development. But let's switch gears a bit and talk about data privacy, another big concern with AI. Switzerland is known for its strong privacy laws. How does Deepseek, with its huge need for data, fit into that?
That's where things get a little complicated. DeepSeek, like a lot of advanced AI, relies heavily on data. It needs massive amounts of data to learn, adapt, and do what it does. But Swiss citizens are very protective of their personal information.
So you could have a clash. The desire to benefit from AI versus that deep commitment to data privacy. How can Switzerland balance these two things that seem to be at odds?
It requires balance, and transparency is key. If Swiss companies and institutions are going to use DeepSeek, they need to be open about how they're using data, what steps they're taking to keep it private, and what choices individuals have over their own information. Building trust is going to be crucial.
There's going to be a lot of debate about where the line is,
Okay.
what data is off limits, how much anonymization is enough. These aren't easy questions, and it'll take open and honest conversations between policymakers, businesses, and the public.
You're right, and this isn't just a Swiss problem. It's a conversation we need to have globally as AI gets more and more woven into our lives. How do we use these powerful data-driven technologies without compromising basic rights and freedoms?
It's a tough challenge, but it's one that demands smart solutions. But let's remember, AI isn't good or bad by itself. It's a tool, and like any tool, it depends how it's used.
Exactly. It all comes down to the choices we make about how to develop, deploy, and regulate these technologies.
And that leads us right back to Switzerland. DeepSeek has really given them a chance to define their place in the AI world.
Will they fully embrace this powerful technology and tailor it to their needs? Will they try to build their own AI ecosystem to be independent? Or will they find a middle ground to use DeepSeek's strengths while also building up their own expertise?
It's a decision with big consequences, not just for Switzerland's economy, but for its people, its values, its place on the world stage.
As we've discussed, there's no easy answer, no single solution. Their path depends on a lot of things: their economy ethical concerns, their goals as a nation, and their cultural values.
It's a fascinating time for Switzerland. Their story is still unfolding, and it's exciting to see where they go from here. As AI continues to evolve at an incredible pace, the choices they make now will shape their future and maybe even have a ripple effect on the world.
It reminds us that this is something we all have a say in. AI isn't a futuristic fantasy anymore. It's shaping our lives right now, and it will continue to shape our future.
And it's a future we all share the responsibility of shaping. So as you go about your day, take a moment to think about what we've explored today. What are your feelings about the rise of these super powerful AI systems like DeepSeek? What possibilities do you see? What worries you?
These are questions we all need to think about, discuss, and debate. Because in the end, the future of AI isn't something that happens to us, it's something we create together.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI and its potential impact on Switzerland. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shaping the future.